Picture this. Two crabs walk into a seafood restaurant. One quietly takes a seat, folds its legs politely, and waits. The other kicks the door open, knocks over a chair, and somehow demands respect without saying a word. They're both crabs. They're both famous. People confuse them all the time, and yet they could not be more different if they tried. One is tall, skinny, and elegant. The other is massive, spiky, and looks like it could bench press a small kayak. One feels like a friendly hangout. The other feels like a boss fight. So, what actually separates these two legends of the cold ocean depths? Is it size, flavor, attitude, shell thickness, emotional intimidation? I'm Professor Everything, and today we'll be answering the question, what is the difference between a snow crab and a king crab? Right here on Explaining Everything. At the most basic level, snow crabs and king crabs are two different species of cold water crabs found primarily in the northern Pacific and Arctic oceans, especially around the Bering Sea. They're related in the same way cousins are related, close enough to share traits, different enough to cause arguments at family gatherings. Snow crabs are generally smaller-bodied with long, slender legs, while king crabs are much larger, heavier, and built like underwater tanks. Snow crabs typically have 5 pairs of legs, including a smaller pair at the back, while king crabs technically have 5 pairs too, but one pair is tucked under their shell like it's shy. Another key difference is how they grow. Snow crabs molt frequently and grow faster, which makes them more abundant. King crabs grow slowly, mature later, and are harvested under strict regulations to protect their populations. That alone already explains why one shows up more often and the other arrives like a celebrity cameo. In short, they may share cold waters, but they live very different crab lives. Let's talk about size, because this is where the gap becomes impossible to ignore. A full-grown king crab can weigh over 20 pounds, with a leg span stretching beyond 5 feet. That's not seafood, that's a commitment. Snow crabs, by comparison, usually weigh 2 to 4 pounds total. They're not tiny, but next to king crab, they look like they skipped leg day forever. Now, the meat. Snow crab meat is known for being mild, sweet, and delicate. It flakes easily and has a softer texture. King crab meat is thicker, firmer, and richer, with large chunks that feel more substantial when you bite into them. Snow crab politely melts. King crab announces itself. Then there's the shell situation. Snow crab shells are thinner and easier to crack. You can open them without feeling like you need a strategy meeting. King crab shells are thick, spiky, and aggressively stubborn. They evolved that way because king crabs live deeper in colder waters, where predators are bigger, meaner, and absolutely not interested in mercy. Snow crabs rely more on agility and numbers. King crabs rely on armor and intimidation. Two survival strategies, both valid. One slightly terrifying. Here's something fun. King crabs aren't true crabs in the strict biological sense. They evolved from hermit crab ancestors and gradually lost the habit of borrowing shells. Snow crabs, on the other hand, are considered true crabs. So technically, king crab is the cool adopted cousin who grew up huge. Another interesting detail is movement. Snow crabs are faster and more mobile, scuttling across the seafloor with surprising speed. king crabs move more slowly, but when you're that large, you don't need to hurry. The ocean adjusts to you. Temperature also plays a role. Both species prefer icy waters, but king crabs tend to live deeper, sometimes hundreds of feet below the surface, which contributes to their slower growth and tougher shells. And yes, both crabs regenerate lost limbs. Lose a leg? No problem. Just molt a few times and grow a new one. Nature said, mistakes happen, and gave crabs a reset button. So, what is the difference between a snow crab and a king crab? Snow crabs are smaller, slimmer, sweeter, easier to crack, and more abundant. King crabs are massive, meatier, richer, harder shelled, slower growing, and rarer. They live in similar cold environments, but evolved completely different strategies to survive. One chose speed and numbers. The other chose size and armor. Neither is better. They're just different, like a casual hangout versus a once-in-a-while event. Same ocean, same cold water. Very different energy. And now, the next time someone points at a plate and says, "It's all just crab," you'll know better. Because one of those crabs politely showed up, and the other arrived like a legend. If this breakdown helped you finally tell a snow crab from a king crab, and maybe laugh a little along the way, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode of Explaining Everything. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other binge-able channels. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.